If you asked a local which food best represents the softness of the East, the answer wouldn't be luxury delicacies like bird's nest or shark fin. It would be this: a humble, trembling white cube on a cutting board, tofu. To the uninitiated, it looks unassuming, almost characterless. But in the kitchen, it's the ultimate culinary chameleon. It can be a comforting, warm bowl of silken pudding in the morning, or a resilient sponge soaking up spicy broth in a midnight hot pot. It can share the stage with expensive crab roe or hold its own in a simple farmhouse stir-fry. How does a hard, sun-dried soybean transform into this jade of the pantry? How many lives can one bean live? Today we're diving into the quiet mystery of tofu, not just as a food, but as a masterpiece of culinary logic. Our story begins 2,000 years ago in the mist-shrouded Bagong Mountains. Prince Liuan was obsessed with the ultimate aristocratic trend of the time: alchemy. Along with 8 elderly scholars, he spent his nights over a roaring furnace, searching for a golden elixir that could grant eternal life. One night, in a lab thick with steam, a happy accident occurred. Liuan inadvertently dropped a bit of gypsum into a pot of boiling soy milk. In an instant, the liquid began to curdle, gathering into soft, snowy white solids. He took a taste and found it delicate, silky, and sweet. He hadn't found immortality, but he had unlocked a new universe of flavor. For centuries, tofu remained a local secret. It didn't go mainstream until it was adopted by Buddhist temples. These temples were sanctuaries of hospitality for scholars and officials, but their precepts forbade meat. To satisfy their guests' sophisticated palates, monks began experimenting with tofu's texture and flavor. They eventually created a version with a meaty bite, known as plant-based meat. This innovation allowed tofu to drift beyond temple walls and into the kitchens of everyday people, becoming the most essential staple of the Chinese home. From this one simple accident in an alchemist's lab, a complex family tree emerged. By manipulating just 2 variables, pressure and temperature, Chinese cooks learned to unlock a staggering variety of textures from the humble bean. Section 1. The silk of the soy. As soy milk simmers in the pot, a delicate layer of fat and protein rises to the top. If you turn off the heat and let it rest, a golden, translucent film forms on the surface. Lifted gently with a bamboo skewer, this becomes yuba, or bean curd skin. Thin as a dragonfly's wing and remarkably supple, it captures the richest essence of the bean, offering a savory chew that rivals any meat. Section 2. The cloud in a bowl. The most pivotal moment is the coagulation. A master uses a touch of brine or gypsum, the chemical key that unlocks a solid world from a liquid one. As the minerals are whisked in, the milk begins to huddle together into soft, snowy drifts. This is dufuhua, or tofu pudding. It's tofu in its most primal form. It requires no chewing, simply gliding down the throat with a faint, sweet echo of the bean. In China, this is the quintessential taste of a warm morning. Section 3. The play of pressure. The transition from a cloud to a cube is entirely a matter of pressure. Silken tofu. Pressed gently for just a few minutes, it remains as fragile as custard. It's the star of the classic cold salad paired with preserved century eggs. Firm tofu. By applying the weight of a heavy stone, you squeeze out the water and give the tofu bones. This resilient structure can develop a crispy golden crust in a hot wok or stay perfectly intact in a slow-simmered stew. 5-spice smoked tofu. If you intensify the pressure and infuse it with aromatic spices, it evolves into the tough guy of the family. It's dense, elastic, and so substantial that when stir-fried with peppers, it's often mistaken for meat. Section 4. The winter's gift. Finally, there is frozen tofu, a masterpiece created by the cold. When left out in the biting winter air, the water inside turns to ice, carving out thousands of microscopic caverns. When dropped into a boiling pot, these holes act like a sponge, drinking in the savory broth. To bite into it is to experience an explosion of flavor. When discussing the champions of tofu, one cannot overlook Emperor Qianlong. As the longest reigning ruler in Chinese history, he had access to the most exquisite culinary resources on Earth. Yet his imperial records are filled with an astonishing number of tofu dishes. For a royal family accustomed to the dizzying complexity of palace banquets, this light, unassuming ingredient offered a refined form of sensory comfort. During his famous tours of southern China, legend has it that Qianlong ventured into a humble farmhouse and tasted bean curd in its most primal, rustic form. Without the elaborate processing of the imperial kitchen, the natural earthy aroma of the soybean left the emperor in awe. He brought these rural techniques back to the Forbidden City. On a nobleman's gold plate, tofu was an elixir. In a commoner's ceramic bowl, it was the meat of the field, bridging the gap of status and class in its own quiet way. Now I'm going to show you the most iconic way to experience this logic of flavor, Mapo Tofu. It's a classic dish that you can easily recreate in your own kitchen. Step 1. The foundation. Start by cutting the tofu into uniform 2-centimeter cubes. Here's a professional tip. Blanch the cubes for 60 seconds in lightly simmering water seasoned with a splash of light soy sauce. Instead of just salt, the soy sauce deepens the tofu's color and infuses it with an initial layer of savory umami, while simultaneously drawing out excess moisture to help the cubes hold their shape in the wok. Step 2. Building the aromatic base. Heat oil in a wok and add finely minced beef. Sear the meat over medium heat until the fat renders and the beef becomes golden and crispy. Then add the soul of the dish, doubanjiang, a fermented spicy bean paste. Sauté on low until the oil turns a brilliant, translucent red. Toss in minced ginger, garlic, and a pinch of chili powder. This is where you build the base notes of the flavor. Step 3. The gentle infusion. Pour in a splash of light broth and gently slide in your blanched tofu. Now put down the spatula. Do not stir. Instead, use the back of a ladle to gently nudge the tofu, letting it bathe in the spicy, hot spring of oil and broth. Step 4. The ritual of thickening. To elevate this dish into art, add a cornstarch slurry in 3 distinct stages. The first stage creates body, the second binds the sauce to the tofu, and the third provides that signature glossy velvet finish. Garnish with a handful of fresh scallions and a generous dusting of freshly ground Sichuan peppercorns for that unmistakable numbing finish. When this intense plate of Mapo tofu is served, it perfectly reveals the single logic this ingredient always follows, transforming heat and external flavors through its boundless embrace. From a 2,000-year-old alchemical accident to this modern culinary masterpiece, it is more than just food. It is a quiet vessel, turning the simplicity of daily life into infinite possibilities of taste.